what does the Bitcoin bank of the future look like? And is MicroStrategy the BlackRock?
Yeah, it looks a little bit like BlackRock, not so much in the products, in the services more like it. Like what we have been confused about with banking, with fractional reserve banking and just the nature of it and what happened at the commercial level for normal people was the commercial banks were really just interested in the subscriber revenue. And I call it subscriber revenue. That's not true. It's mortgages. It's just a guaranteed 30-year customer. And they love that. That's a very simple product. That's basically all they offer when it comes to just normal commercial banking, normal clients. You go over to the private banking world and you see what a real bank is supposed to do. It's supposed to be capital introduction, prime brokerage. There's all these services that go into private banking that we've never had a hint of, a whiff of in normal commercial banking in 80, 90 years. And so a Bitcoin bank looks a lot like BlackRock in terms of services, not necessarily products, because those commercial banks with the normal people with the houses, it's not really their intent to make you wealthier. They're telling you buying a house is going to make you wealthier, and it has. They did a great job for a lot of the boomers. They did great on real estate. But as we all know in Bitcoin, that's a failure of the dollar itself, and it forced everyone into this risk curve and into the sophisticated act of buying houses, picking neighborhoods, and going into real estate speculation. And
Well,
so, yeah,
okay.
it's a total different. It's a different outlook entirely. And if they would, recalibrate at BlackRock to try to become what essentially 21 or MicroStrategy or Kraken Bank, that was the vision over there as well. You get a bunch of Bitcoin. And in the old days, before fractional reserve Bitcoin, how much money you had in your reserves, proof of reserves, how much money you had was the strength of your bank. How much money you actually had was how strong of a bank you were, because you need that money to be able to lend to people. You hear all these crazy ideas that Saifedean has, for example, on lending. A lot of it comes from this model of having enough Bitcoin to be able to enter these credit markets and be able to give people loans and rehypothecate the Bitcoin. But you still have to have the stack, just like banks before fractional reserve banking was invented and the Federal Reserve came on the scene. Once the Federal Reserve came on the scene, it's kind of dumbed down the commercial banking business models so that they just want these long-term subscribers. It worked for a while. It was a great idea for a lot of people. But it's coming back to the point now where you're trying to grow your wealth and you need services like capital introduction. I need to know a bunch of rich people. I need to know a bunch of people with Bitcoin. So now you see all these Sailor copycats, and that's the exact game they're playing. They're going to people like MicroStrategy. They're saying, "Hey, I need to meet some investors. I need people to post their Bitcoin with me. I need people to invest their Bitcoin in this company, so we have more under management, so we can offer more services. We can get that premium up, and we can get the stock price up, so we can borrow more money and get more Bitcoin." And so when you see these proto Bitcoin banks, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to look a lot like the care and attention that BlackRock offered their customers, which was great care and great attention and great wealth building. And they did a lot of stuff and they offered a million things. You're going to be able to do all that stuff at the commercial level for normal people and do it in Bitcoin. And so it looks like BlackRock in the end, except they're not going to confuse you with a million assets and all kinds of other stuff. It's going to be pretty simple.
I think maybe the TLDR is BlackRock has turned, access into assets under management, right? They're accessing a client that helps them kind of grow. MicroStrategy really could turn their Bitcoin ownership into an infrastructure that people could access.
Yeah, that's the perfect way of putting it. That's exactly the perfect way of putting it. Yeah, that's exactly it. They'll have this ability to leverage the Bitcoin and turn it into services, which will bring people in the door, and it will completely change how we think of banking as a wealth management system, a wealth growing system, not so much a place where you beg for a loan and maybe they give it to you.
Well, of course, a lot about the world needs to change as well in the meantime there. But fascinating subject to think about how MicroStrategy could become the BlackRock, how BlackRock have to become the MicroStrategy, and we might be headed towards a future where both of these institutions have an opportunity to be the largest owners of Bitcoin. And maybe we can kind of do a final thoughts here. The chances that you think Strategy and BlackRock both own over 1 million Bitcoin in the future, I would say that I think that situation is pretty high and pretty likely.
Yeah, me too. I won't disagree with you on that. I think the only obstacle I would see in the case of BlackRock is getting the pivot. right? They've got to change their worldview. They're coming to it. They're changing their worldview. You see them offer. People say they're saying no, go 5% in Bitcoin to the sovereigns they serve in foreign countries, and they're becoming really clear on the need to have a hedge against government stupidity and government foolishness. And because we are, I mean, they know, I think anyway, they can tell there is a type of fiat apocalypse that's growing, and it doesn't look like there's a way out of it. And if you talk to anyone out there, we all see it, right? The 37, $38 trillion in debt, some crazy number that can never be paid off. And so what do you do with that, right? And I don't think BlackRock wants to sit there and die, so they have to accumulate Bitcoins.
But
And
it's do you think that they can own more Bitcoin right now with everything that you know, with how much MicroStrategy has acquired, this 5 year head start they've had on the market? BlackRock has all these resources, maybe second to the U.S. government, right? If maybe that's the only other player I would say at this point.
think of
Maybe
it, it's almost like, let's go religious. It's like, what are the benefits of monotheism? And in the case of Michael Saylor, he serves Lord Satoshi, and it's a very simple arrangement. He doesn't have anything else to think of. BlackRock has a million masters in this fiat apocalypse, this government and that government. Everybody's their boss. They're like the gig economy of bankers. They got to, I'm your banker, I'm your banker. And that's very complicated. Like I said, the Hong Kong thing is just an example. Who knows what else they have to go out and finance on the behalf of sovereigns all the time? I mean, they literally were told, go buy the Panama Canal. And so, I mean, it's a great, good for them. It was a great purchase. It was, I'm happy they did it. It's awesome. But they've signed up for this, and they didn't sign up for what Michael Saylor signed up, which is just, I want to buy Bitcoin. Just, I want to buy Bitcoin. I want to buy Bitcoin. And so they're just playing a different game. If they come to a point where the fiat apocalypse burns them so bad, they don't want to deal with sovereigns, all the pension funds are bust, they don't care about governments anymore. Yeah, I expect they go absolutely psycho into Bitcoin and become even crazier than Michael Saylor.